Welcome to Myriacast episode 8. Today is going to be about Assassin's Creed. Okay. Sorry, I had some background music queued up and it decided not to work. Let's try that again. There it is. Perfect. So, like I said, we're talking about Assassin's Creed today. I'm with my co-host Spoon.
Hey everybody, good evening.
And we do not have a guest this week. We're just going to be talking just Spoon and I. So let's do the introduction really quickly. The intro is going to be a little different today. I've got a little bit of a different setup here for this one. I'm not going to go through the whole thing on Myriathon and all this. You see all the socials on the screen. If you happen to be listening to this after the fact and can't see the video, all that stuff is going to be in the description of the wherever it is, Anchor, Spotify, iTunes. I just want to focus today on, I want to talk a bit about the YouTube. So the reason why I'm going to focus on this is because it's really important, and Spoon and I have been talking about potential other ways that we can do more for Myriacast, not just the podcast, but maybe some other content. So I want to stress again, as part of the introduction, that the YouTube, getting people to, if you're interested in watching, or if you know somebody who might be interested, especially in the topics that we're talking about, to subscribe to YouTube, it's really important that we get people to subscribe, and you don't have to turn on the notifications at all. I'm not going to enforce anything. But the reason why I'm talking about this is because if you get to 100 subscribers on YouTube, you can have a custom domain. And for those of you that know pretty much anything about that, it's really important. And that's one of the reasons why we have to say, okay, if you want to go see the YouTube, go into the search bar and type in the space Myriathon, as opposed to actually going to a direct URL. Right now, we have like this weird string of numbers and letters, and that's not really ideal. So, just wanted to mention that as the introduction today. I know it's not like the normal one, and it's a bit, it's a bit direct, and like, I don't want to say like we're not trying to beg or anything. I wanted to point that out. It's really important to both of us, and if you're someone who's watching or interested and you want to support us, that's one of the best ways, in my opinion, to do, including obviously watching and listening. So just wanted to do that as the introduction today. I know it's a little bit different. It's probably not something everybody wants to hear. Nobody wants to be sold anything, but it's really important. So Spoon, do you have anything to add onto that? Just, we've talked about this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it the last couple of weeks, and yeah, it's a little bit sellouty, if you will, but as Otto said, it's important. We'd appreciate it. It doesn't cost anything to click the subscribe button. You can turn the notifications off so you don't get your phone or your email or all that stuff spammed, but getting to 100 subs on YouTube is really nice, as Otto said, so we'd like that very much.
Yeah, and I don't like being spammed at all, so I totally understand if you're like, hey, look, I just want to support you guys, but I'm not turning the bell icon on. Okay, great. I'm with you 100%. I agree with you. I don't like being spammed pretty much about anything, and I get it all the time, like in all different forms, not just with email spam.
I don't think I've have the bell on for any YouTube channel fully on. Like I think I have it on like the mid tier, which is like some notifications or something like that. Yeah. And for Twitch, I follow a ton of channels on Twitch, and the ones that I do, I always turn off notifications because I don't want to get an email every single time one of the people I follow goes live, because I probably follow like at least 50 channels, maybe close to 100. I don't even know. Like,
yeah, it's too many notifications. So I agree. And if you're a person that's like, I don't want notifications, I'm with you 100%. But this is important to us. The subscription thing on YouTube is really important. And just to sort of round out again, the reason why is Spoon recently, mostly I go to him with ideas, but especially when we want to expand content, when we're bouncing ideas off each other, we were thinking about, like I said, expanding the content, not just with the podcast, but also And we just the Con Man 912. We appreciate that. That's like the stuff that we appreciate. And you don't need to turn that bell icon on.
Yeah.
Totally.
Thank you.
That really is more important than anything else. That is the type of support that is important, particularly for me. I think Spoon agrees with me. So, because like I said, we want to expand the content, and like one of the things we've been talking about was potentially doing like kind of like a let's play type of thing, where we add another stream with Spoon and I on this channel, like sort of Myriacast-esque, but we're playing a game that's related to the topic we'll be doing. So we've been talking about that, and the reason why I mentioned the YouTube as well is because we're considering doing some light video editing and putting the videos of like maybe highlights from those onto YouTube. So that's why I'm talking about all this stuff. It's not just like meaningless. There's a thought process behind the madness.
There's a method to the madness.
Yeah, there's a method to the madness.
As it were.
Okay, that's the introduction. Like I said, sorry if that's like really direct and you're not, it's like, I'm with you 100%. I don't want to be sold anything. I hate it when people sell me. I just hate it. So,
yeah, and we hate doing it too. Like, honestly, I'm so terrible at like social media and being a sellout, quote unquote. Like, I hate doing it. I hate promoting myself or anything that I'm doing. It feels really awkward and terrible. And,
stuff. Really,
I don't like doing it.
This is the most I've used Twitter, and I've learned more about Twitter than I wish I did. I was telling Spoon before this, there are way too many things I've just learned about Twitter that I wish I didn't know ever. Okay. So back to topic at hand. Sorry for sort of like introing too long, but Assassin's Creed is a game. Did you know that, Spoon?
It is in fact a video game.
Wow. Pretty exciting. Did you know it was also a movie?
I did, and I did watch the movie.
Oh.
It's not good.
We'll talk about it, because it is not good. That's correct. It's not good at all. It could try Courage is right. It might be a series of games. We'll talk about that.
So, it might actually be pretty popular too. You might have heard of it.
Maybe
if you're into video games.
I'm just thinking of the movie again, and every time I think about it, I laugh. So, okay, the first Assassin's Creed came out in 2007, and for those of you who aren't boomers, we were in high school at that time.
Yeah.
Just about to graduate, and I'm
senior in high school.
I'm sure some of you were like in diapers or something. I don't know, but as a game, I can recall it having kind of this interesting prospect to it. It's not the first stealth game that's ever existed. It's definitely not the first open world game, but it had an interesting selling point with like it packaged it all together. And for me in particular, I can't speak for Spoon. It was a really interesting idea, and it kind of hooked me into buying it with all the backdrop.
Yeah, they definitely like promoted it and sold it well. Like the popular outlets at the time, GameSpot, IGN, which are still popular outlets, like kind of took hold of it, and I feel like it got a lot of coverage before it actually came out. And it actually released to kind of like mediocre reviews. I remember getting like 6s and 7s, maybe an 8 here and there.
I think so, yeah.
But it for like what was gonna be the next like big franchise in gaming at the time, it released to somewhat lackluster reviews.
Yeah,
I would say. Like,
yeah, I remember it got like 6s and 7s, and
it wasn't a bad game at all. It just wasn't an amazing game. As Otto said, it had a lot of ideas, and it tried to put a lot of different things together, and it just didn't all work, I think, in the first one.
And I agree, and it wasn't at all like a great game, to be honest. Like it had some cool ideas, and it was entertaining to play. Like I will admit that, but it had huge issues with just repetitiveness. Repetitiveness was the biggest issue for me. Every quest felt the same. Felt the exact same. And I'm trying to think of other ones. Oh yeah, the combat in those games in particular was never amazing. It just like, do you know how to counter? Okay, good, you're fine. You're fine. If you can counter, you're fine.
In Assassin's Creed 1, once you got counter, which you didn't start with it, you got it. I don't remember when, like partway through the game.
Yeah.
Like maybe after the first couple like assassination missions you had to do.
Yeah.
Once you had counter, that was the only thing you had to do in combat. Like you just held down the guard button the whole time, and then when an enemy attacked you, just press counter. Like you could be surrounded by 20 enemies in the middle of a crowded street in a city, and they attack you one at a time. You counter them. The counter like insta kills them, and you move on to the next one.
Yeah. It's mindlessly entertaining to just like get a horde of like 20 enemies around you and just counter them all down, and then like walk away from this bloodbath in the middle of the street. I will admit that was like kind of like an entertaining thing to do, just like walking away from that. And I do think some other things that I really enjoyed about the game was just the parkour. It was, like I said, it wasn't perfect, but it was like appealing enough and interesting. We're just like, yeah, I'm just jumping through rooftops. I'm not even on the street level. I'm never on street level. Just you're just hopping rooftops, going like tight roping. It's just like all sorts of really cool parkour that, like I said, probably not the first game that's ever done that for sure. But at the time, it was like all of it packaged together was really intriguing.
And it did. I think it kind of led. The original Assassin's Creed had a lot of good ideas, and it led to trends that we still see today in like open world games. And like honestly, just about every Ubisoft game now is basically like has similar aspects to Assassin's Creed, and at this point they've added RPG elements to all of them too. Yeah. But and multiple microtransactions, but that's off topic for now. The original Assassin's Creed, you see this in a lot of open world games now, even like Breath of the Wild and stuff like that. I feel like I don't know if it is the first game, but it's the first game that I can remember that used like the viewpoints like system, where like the map had these like towers or viewpoints, whatever you want to call them, that you would climb, and once you got to the top, you kind of unlocked a section of the map, and then you could see what kind of stuff you could do around that.
They were cool. They were just like really tall buildings. It was almost like in and of itself a light puzzle, because you had to navigate. You had to climb a certain way to get up there. And it was like cool, is you get the viewpoint and then you unrealistically drop into a haystack.
Into a hay bale, yeah.
And you're fine.
The other thing that they had that, again, I feel like a lot of open world games, or a lot of games in general, do now, which Otto talked about already, is like kind of the parkour element, like the building climbing and stuff like that. I feel like so many games have like taken that aspect of Assassin's Creed and put it in their game.
The Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, they just put the Batman and Assassin's Creed game together, and that's what it is. It looks almost the same and it feels the same when you play it. It's got like and those are good things too. Like those are great things to copy.
Did Arkham came out after Assassin's Creed, didn't it? Yeah, it came out when we were in college. Yeah, we came out when we were in college.
Like 2009 or something.
Yeah.
And that definitely like had some elements of it. Like I said, Shadow of Mordor had some elements as well. And all of them, like I said, all good things. Really. It is like, it was a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 kind of game, but in like the best way possible, if that is a thing that is possible. It's like, okay, this is a 6 out of 10, but it feels like there are things that if they get improved, there's something really special here. And we'll definitely talk about the next game, the next mainline series game, and how it improved.
I just feel like just about most of the open world action adventure games that you see these days, especially, or mostly after Assassin's Creed, took something from Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Like, I would say, despite it being a little bit of a lackluster game, the initial entry at least, it was a very innovative and revolutionary game. And
the environments were gorgeous. Especially, it was just like amazing to be able to go through these cities. I had a family member, I think it was like my mom at the time when I was playing in high school. She like watched me play a little bit. And she said, that looks so realistic and it looks like almost historically accurate. And to me, that like it increases the appeal when you can just see things on the screen and make those connections. And it's like, it's not like a History Channel type of moment, but it's pretty darn close. And that's just, for me, increased the just the value that I got from playing it. There's just something different about actually like picking historical places together and like going through them in the time when it was like, you know, in that time frame. It's just really cool. And like to see, okay, well, what would this moment of time look? It was nice. This is like a nice zoom in. Very cool element of the game.
Yeah, and I definitely did hear, like, in some of the, if you listen to or watch like developer interviews about the Assassin's Creed games, that like, I don't know about the more recent ones, but definitely the earlier ones, I know for sure that they talked about like how much like research and like history research they did on these places, and for the most part they tried to make the cities as like realistic to at least the research they could find on what the city layout of the city looked like at the time.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm sure they had to make some concessions for like gameplay reasons, like, you know, making the houses, like the distance between the houses, and, you know, I'm sure again, I'm sure it wasn't 1-to-1 accuracy, but obvious, and I'm sure they, as I said, had to make some concessions in order to make the game more fun and make the city layout like make sense for playing in a video game like it is a sandbox.
Yeah.
So, but in general, I have heard that they did quite a lot of historical research for these games, for both the cities and I think for like some of the events that occurred during the game. Obviously, the events of the game, you alter those events quite drastically in some cases.
We'll talk about the Pope later.
Yeah, the Pope.
The Pope was amazing,
and the battle of Bunker Hill in Assassin's Creed 3.
Gosh, no! Oh, come on! Like they did a really good job. The research shows. I loved it. I can honestly say, though, the most infuriating thing about that game was I can't swim. I can climb the tallest building in the city, but I can't swim in water. Thank goodness they changed that later.
You die instantly.
It's like desynchronization. Really? I can't swim? Okay, we have to touch on the real world stuff though. As well.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we should talk about the story a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this complaint, and I remember this for some reason pretty vividly in like reviews when their first game came out. Like they had a big twist in the story, and it was that like what you were doing was, I mean, it was real, but like your character was actually like a person in the current time, and they are revisiting the memories of their ancestors through this machine called the Animus.
Yeah.
Which is a cool concept.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it would be a cool twist to have, like, you know, halfway through the game or like near the end of the game. Unfortunately, they show it to you like right off the bat.
Oh yeah,
like
first thing you see.
The twist in the game is like you start playing, I'm pretty sure at the start of the game you start playing as Desmond, who is the modern day character.
Yeah, no, this is like, it's a very silly thing, and I have opinions on it later, but that would have been a cool thing to add about halfway through the game. If they were just like, you're playing as Altair for like 50% of the game, and then all of a sudden you like go and you're like in the real world and you just wake up as Desmond, this random dude at the time, and it would have been a complete shock. But they just like immediately just throw you in as Desmond, and the concept itself I think is really cool. It's just like, okay, you're a present day person who happens to have an ancestor that some corporation, in this case like Abstergo or whatever it is, something like that. There's like
sounds right. I don't remember if it was called that in the first game.
I don't know if it was, but like there's like Abstergo at some point, and they're going after you because they're this faction called the Templars. So there's the Templars faction and the Assassins faction. Desmond's like has an ancestor that's of the Assassins faction, but he's not one yet. He just thinks he's some random dude.
Yeah, I think he's like a bartender or something
Yeah, he's
like
like
that. He's just some random
he's nobody.
dude.
Yeah, he's like nobody basically. Which is kind of, again, it's kind of cool. It's like, okay, this nobody happens to have an ancestor who this cult really desires. So they bring him in, they put him in this machine, and they extract this data, this information from his ancestor, and he's just stuck in all of it. And he pieces together his own clues. Like you sort of go in and out of the Animus, and when you're in the real world, you're like piecing together clues, and somebody's helping you. And like there's some other stuff I don't think I ever got to all of it, but there were like things you revealed and in like your bedroom and stuff, like all sorts of stuff. Again, it was cool. It was like puzzle. There was like puzzles in there. Cool concept. Interesting. Like okay, there's this no name, nobody dude, but his great ancestor, he's somebody. Let's get that data from. So,
and it's like this. Apparently, in this world, there's this centuries-long war between the Templars and the Assassins, and Abstergo, this corporation, as Otto said, like kidnaps Desmond and basically forces him into this machine, the Animus, because they're looking for these like ancient artifacts.
The
I
like
believe.
Apples of Eden. Apple of Eden is one of them.
Apple of Eden is in the second game.
Is that the second one? I thought they were going the first one too. I don't know.
Maybe that's the first one. Yeah, the first one. I think they're looking for the Apple of Eden in the first one. I don't think they find it. I don't remember. But yeah, they're looking for these ancient artifacts. So, and that's about as far as I remember the story.
Yeah, they're looking for the artifacts. It essentially removes free will. It's one of those, I think, storylines. You know, it's like you go on. There's like a short list of storylines that people pick when they're desperate. Like, okay, remove free will. Okay, got it. That's like one of those short lists. Somebody had to come up with an idea last second. Remove free will is like at the top of that list. It's like, okay, we don't have anything. Free will, got it. I don't know. Like I see way too many things. There's like, okay, remove free will. That's the motivation. Got it. Okay, right. Sounds good. Yeah. And I think that was like the motive of the Templars. They're like, we want to create a utopia with no conflict type situation. What I remember.
Yeah.
The Apple of Eden helped that happen. Again, cool game. Really cool game. Assassin's Creed 1. Cool game. I love playing it, even if it had its flaws.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It was quite repetitive.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. It was a cool game. I think it was revolutionary. You know, I don't remember it being that long. There were like, I think 9 like main assassination missions you had to do. And I think to get to them, you had to do like a certain number of like the side quests or the side tasks or something like that.
They were like tasks.
That's kind of where the repetition came in, I think.
It was like it was clues. You were picking up clues to find your target. Again, it's a cool idea. It's just like it was the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah,
so
got a little repetitive. But it was a cool game and led to many more games. Obviously, a series now. Many of which down the line which are much better than the first game. But the first game laid a lot of groundwork.
Yep.
I think similar to some other series, like off the top of my head, like Kingdom Hearts, for example, which many people know I really like. Kingdom Hearts 1, I don't like that much. I don't think it's that great of a game. It's okay. It's a little clunky though, but it laid groundwork for the series.
But it's like, okay, this has a ton of potential.
Yeah, it does.
This could be cleaned up and be really great. Same thing. We have to talk about AC2 now. So AC2 came out like 2 years later, when we were in college, so like first or second year of college, something like that.
I think the fall of our sophomore year. Yeah.
This game, every single problem that was in the first game, they just fixed it and then just made all the other stuff better. And this was like at the time, especially. Definitely one of the best sequels of the time, for sure. Like, just when you think of sequels, like, okay, what was a great sequel to a first game? AC2 has to be up there. Unbelievable sequel to the first game.
I feel the same way about Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking about Assassin's Creed today.
Good sequels. Like, people who just like say, okay, all the problems, let's just patch them up, improve everything else, throw it out there. And I think there were a couple things that I liked about this one in particular. Again, the real world, the context of the real world, and the past, the ancestors' past, the connection still worked. I remember this game having good connections still. Eventually, there are problems, but for this one, there were still like Desmond. You were going through Desmond's story and the ancestor story, and they all worked together and pieced together this continued puzzle of trying to like stop the Templar. In this one, you played in the past as Ezio Auditore.
Ezio Auditore da Firenze.
Da Firenze, yes. And you begin as him. His like story, he watches his family get hanged in front of him, which is horrifying. And after that, he joins the assassins. I can't for the life of me remember the like context of him joining. But I know he eventually joins them. And the whole crux of this thing is he's going after this one guy. It happens to become the Pope. This Templar becomes the Pope. And I'm spoiling this because it's probably one of the best boss fights I've ever had. It's like silly. You fist fight the Pope. And whoever came up with this, thank you.
The last boss of the game, you literally have throw fisticuffs with the Pope.
You fist fight the Pope. And there's no better way to do it, to say it or do it. If you're gonna have your final Templar boss be the Pope, I better fist fight it. There's nothing else that I would enjoy. Just fist fight him. I don't want to assassinate. I just want to fist fight him. So you fist fight the Pope, but there's like all sorts of stuff that occurs, and like Ezio is a good character. I liked him a lot. He's confident. He's got this like bravado about him. He's a ladies' man through and through. But he is like a good. And he's cocky at first. He's really cocky. Eventually he starts to like humble himself through his action. He has like this line of games. He has Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. Spoon and I don't think we like that one as much, but it's still like a nice series of games for him. So yeah, I mean, I liked Ezio a lot more than Altair. Altair in the first game didn't feel like he was that interesting. Blue Infinity says that seems like the DS games expanded on his lore a bit more. Yeah, I didn't play the DS one, so I missed that completely. But yeah, Altair felt a little bit more static.
Yeah, the first game
out really well.
Altair in the first game was just kind of a stoic, like. Yeah, he was like from what I remember, since it's been a very long time since I played the original Assassin's Creed. But yeah, he was just like that typical like stoic, cool dude assassin. Yeah.
Which is fine, but it wasn't interesting.
Yeah, he wasn't really an interesting character.
Ezio had a journey, and I really liked his journey of just like I've got all this ash, cocky, and I can do anything. And then realizes he can't do everything. Fist fights the Pope. Like, what kind of... Come on! Anyway. But Assassin's Creed 2, also, like, the parkour stuff was still even better. They did a better job with that. Also, yeah, again, just a great sequel. I enjoyed it a lot. Spoon, other thoughts? Things?
I mean, I think, as you said, Assassin's Creed 2 was like... Assassin's Creed 1 was, as we talked about, just the groundwork. It's like there's a lot of potential here, but this like isn't a great game. There's some issues with it, with the pacing and the some of the like mundane tasks you have to do, and like with the story, it's like it's weird and interesting. But I think the one thing that I'll say about especially the earlier Assassin's Creed games, even including like 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, and 1, the pacing is a little weird. Like, I feel like sometimes you spend like way more time in the present time than you should. Sometimes it's like, man, I just want to go back in the Animus and play as Ezio or Altair some more, and like you're just in the real world for like hours, and it's just like, can we stop? Like, I don't want to play as, like, I know you're trying to develop Desmond as an interesting character,
Right.
but I don't like Desmond. Like
Desmond is, again, the random bartender. That's all he should have been, in my opinion. I think he should have just stayed the random bartender and brought somebody new in, but it is what it is. Like, I don't hate it. It's just like, because it did connect with the past pretty well, but the worst criminal of that is Black Flag. I love the game, but every time I got into the real world, like the present day of the Black Flag section, I wanted to find the person that thought that was a good idea. Sit him down.
Wait, really? Black Flag?
Black Flag, you would go out of the Animus, walk around the office in first person, go around and just do stuff, and it's just, oh my gosh, yeah, Black Flag.
Yeah, but I feel like those sections were pretty short in that one.
They were short, and yet they could have been shorter, if not gone. I hated it every single time.
From what I remember, like, Assassin's Creed 3 was the worst with that. Like, you actually had to do, like, jumping puzzles and stuff with Desmond in this, like, underground temple, and,
Yeah,
like...
I remember that.
Ugh, yeah, no thank you.
Yeah, Black Flags were short, but I still hated it. It could have been, like, 5 seconds, and I would have been pulling my hair out still. It was so bad. I hated it. There were, like, puzzles. I mean, it wasn't the worst, but... Oh, I have to pull up this video. For those of you that need to be entertained today, maybe you're having a tough day, I've got a video just for you. I showed Spoon this earlier.
We're doing this right now.
Yeah, we're doing it now. It's the AC, like, SEO.
Let's throw some... I'm gonna throw some context.
Okay, go ahead.
So, like, Assassin's Creed 2, among other things, and, like, I don't think the combat was amazing in AC2, but they definitely improved it more than just, like, counter to win from AC1. There was a little more to it. There were, like, different types of enemies that you had to approach in different ways, and I believe this video is from Revelations, which was the third Ezio game. And one of the things they added to the game in order to defeat armored enemies, of all things, is a swift kick to the genitals.
Yep.
So let's play the video at that.
Let's do it. This is one of my favorite videos. And I'm turning the audio on for this, too. You have to hear it. Just perfect. Just there's nothing else. I know I spent a day doing this to every guard I could find. I love how the crowd reacts too. It's so good. Beautiful.
So yeah, this was their wrinkle to combat. It's like, oh man, for armored enemies who, like, you can't break their guard, you can't counter them. All right, better kick him in the nuts. Like, that's how you break their guard. You kick them right where it hurts.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's, like, the best way to do it, but it's like but there's one guy, I bet, guy or gal there, who's just thinking, who's a jokester a little like me, and they're thinking, how could I make this funny? I know, we'll fist fight the Pope in one, and in order to break guards, we'll kick him in the jewels. Perfect. This is one person too, and they somehow sneak these into the game and get away with it, and I thank that person for this. Because that was definitely a day just breaking guard on the heavies just for an hour. And we would, like, test, can you actually, like, knock someone out from this? Like, can you get them out? Oh yeah, you can. It takes a while, but you can. So beautiful addition. Thank you very much. The troll in me loved it. So,
yeah.
Okay. There's obviously more to talk about with those games like Brotherhood and Revelations.
It's gonna be hard for me, at least for me, to talk about details. I think for you too. It's just been so long since I've played those games. Like, I played all 3 of those games, like, when they came out, and I don't think I've really touched them since.
I can just tell you, Brotherhood added, like, a tower defense, which was okay. It was not poorly executed, but it's a tower defense.
Wait, I thought that was Revelations that had the tower defense.
I thought that was Brotherhood. Brotherhood also had the, like, you had your, like, own little,
like, your faction.
I thought Brotherhood had the tower defense. Well, Revelations, even if that had the tower defense too, Revelations was, I like to call, the utility game. You had the Batman utility belt. There was so much stuff in your utility belt it was out of control. I personally hated it. There's just too much stuff. Way too much stuff to manage.
They had too many mini games in it too. Like I think that that's why I remember the tower. Like Revelations was the mini game Assassin's Creed. There was the tower defense. That's the one that I remember the most. But there was a ton of other mini games, and there was, as you said, a utility belt. You just had so many things to do and like different ways.
Too much. Like
there's options, and then there's like too many options.
Yeah. Options are great, but when you give me too many, it's a little too much for my. Not really like a super intelligent person. If you give me too much, it overloads my head. So please, like, just that was the utility belt game. That was like the Batman utility belt game. So much stuff. Where you got smoke bombs. You can throw like gold all over the place. You can do this. You got like daggers. Okay, let's take it back. Okay.
Yeah, like Revelations to me was just. I just didn't feel like the game needed to exist. It was the third Ezio game, and I really liked Brotherhood. I think either at that time, Assassin's Creed 2 was great. Brotherhood might have been even better. And in Revelations, Ezio was just an old man,
which was it wasn't bad. Like I kind of liked that he lost his like mojo a little bit in certain aspects. It was nice.
Yeah. It was different. It was a little different, but he was also the old vet that like everyone looked up to. Basically, he was a legend of the Assassins Guild at that point because he had been through so much. I just felt like I didn't like the city as much. That game was set in Constantinople or Istanbul.
Yeah, Istanbul.
I don't. Depending on history, it was called Constantinople at one time, and it was called Istanbul. I think it's called Istanbul now. Okay. So in the past, it was Constantinople. Okay. But yeah, I don't know, something about it. I just didn't need another Ezio game after Brotherhood.
It felt tacked on, but I liked old Ezio, but the game itself felt tacked.
Yeah. And it really felt like they were dragging out the story. The modern day story.
The modern day stories.
Because the end of I feel like every game in the Ezio arc and also Assassin's Creed 1 ended on like a pretty big cliffhanger as far as the modern day story went.
Always did.
And I just kind of got sick of it. It was. Assassin's Creed 2 ended on a cliffhanger, and we get to Brotherhood, and it's okay, we're gonna resolve that, but then there's another cliffhanger, and then we get to Revelations, and there's another cliffhanger. I'm like, guys, can we just resolve this now? It's getting annoying.
It was out of control. I don't remember which game it was. It was the one before, like, right around the time Desmond dies. Yeah, I'm sorry, spoiler. There's one of the games where Desmond just dies. It's like, the cliffhanger is there's a god. And when I saw that, I remember seeing that, I went like this. Oh, no. Please, no. No. There's like a god, and the god just appears.
Yeah. And at that point during the Assassin's Creed 2 saga, the FCO saga, I was still interested in the modern day story. I was like, okay, it's weird, but like I want to see where they're going with this. I want them to resolve like all the cliffhangers, and that's where I started to get annoyed because they kept ending with cliffhangers.
Yeah,
and I'm
it was frustrating.
Can we please resolve this now?
Yeah, it's super frustrating.
And the other thing about Revelations that I kind of remember us complaining about is that the costume colors in that game were actually bad. Like they were. I remember they were very washed out. All the colors in that game that you could get for your costume.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't remember like specifically why that I remember this, but I remember us talking about it at the time when it was coming out, and we just kept complaining about everything about the game, and it's like, yeah, man, even the colors are bad in this game. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's the one where you're just like complaining, and you just find little things to complain about at that point. So. Okay, so Revelations happened, and we're only talking about the mainline series. All the other stuff, sorry, I didn't deal with that. Personally, I didn't deal with it. I don't know about Spoon. I didn't play
Oh,
any.
I think we should also actually mention that I think it was in Brotherhood they added a multiplayer mode.
Oh yeah, they did. Oh,
And I didn't play it very much, but I played it a little bit, and I don't really remember how it worked.
There's still multiplayer.
You had to.
I think there's still
You were given a contract, and you had to. Yeah, your contract was to, I believe, like assassinate one of the other players in the game, and you had to be stealthy and keep yourself from being assassinated by the person who is chasing you, and also get your target. So it was kind of interesting. Like, I played it a little bit. It was actually kind of fun for a bit, but
yeah, I don't think I touched it.
Again, that was in a time in gaming where I feel like the publishers were basically saying that your game must have a multiplayer mode, or we don't think it'll sell well, so you have to put a multiplayer mode in the game.
I remember that.
Because it was during the Call of Duty boom that Call of Duty was just going off in terms of its popularity. And like, oh man, we gotta have a multiplayer mode.
Yep, I remember, because that was around the time Dead Space 2 had a multiplayer. And I hope at some point maybe we'll touch on that game. For whatever reason. Because like, forced multiplayers, I remember that was like a thing. And I remember around that time, like, Dead Space 2 player 2. It wasn't bad. I'm sure, like, much like Brotherhood, like, they're not bad. It's just, you don't want to play it more than a few times before it gets really like, okay, we tried it. It's okay. Not addicting, is I think the way I'll put it. We got to talk about Assassin's Creed 3. I want to preface this. I was watching a video today, and I saw some comments, and I have to be honest with everybody. If you're a Connor fan, bless your little heart, but I am not. I think he is boring. Somebody was like, he's not. Somebody, I read a comment on this video, and like, he's not boring. His whole family was killed in front of him. All these things happened. And it was like, okay, great. So did Ezio. Ezio is also a million times more boring. AC3, to try Courage's comment, is the one where it's during the Revolutionary War. You are Connor, who is...
Well, the first half of the game you play as Connor's dad.
You play as Connor's dad. Great, by the way. Very cool. Very cool. I actually like that a lot.
Who's actually a Templar.
Who's a Templar. Again, I love that a lot. I thought it was cool. It was like, okay, I'm a Templar, and you don't even know it at first, I think. I think it's like kind of hidden at first.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. It is like kind of a nice little twist addition to the game that I was like, oh, this is going to be a good start. And then Connor happened. And the game, for me, felt meh. Very meh.
I think it was the Assassin's Creed game that at least us Americans were very excited for, because it was the first one that was going to be set in the United States during the Revolutionary War. So we were very excited for it, and it ended up being not very good.
It ended up being Connor almost single-handedly being the result of Bunker Hill. And I don't know if I couldn't sign on to that one. I think I remember your brother commenting on that one a lot.
Yeah, I don't think the Battle of Bunker Hill ended with the British general being murdered by a Native American with a hatchet.
It's like, look, you can take some liberties in this game with history, but I don't know about this one, Chief. Just don't know about this one working out. But like I said, if you're a Connor fan, you're entitled to be a fan of him, but I do not like him at all. I just did not like his personality. His backstory might be difficult, but I don't like his pushy personality. It just did not resonate with me. The game felt shockingly boring at times.
There was a big open area in this game called the Frontier. It was just a big forest, basically.
Yep.
And it was just boring. There was nothing. There was nothing to do in it.
Like at the trailers, I was thinking, "Oh, cool, the Frontier. Yeah, this will be really cool. You climb through trees." And somehow it was really boring. There was like hunting too in the game. This was a game too. I remember this game in particular. I commented on this. I think I commented to you. was like, how is there a tutorial still happening halfway through the game? Why am I still getting tutorialed?
That was the thing that I was going to mention about the Connor's dad segment of the game. The game is divided up into chapters. I don't remember how many chapters there are in the game, but I think playing as Connor's dad for a while was a cool thing, but it lasted way too long. I think the pacing of the game was like way off.
Yeah.
And I remember, again, I do remember seeing comments and like reviews at the time for that game just saying, you don't pick up the main character until halfway through the game or something like that.
It's crazy. It's at least
really
a third
silly.
of the way through the game. It's weird. I did like Hamath, right? It's Hamath. I liked him. It's just too much of him, considering Connor is supposed to be the main character here. It just, yeah, I gotta agree with Blue. It's too boring. It's cool to have an empty world, but I don't want the empty world to just be trees. It just like this, somehow everything was, there's too much boredom. I remember being so bored. It was a slog to get through, and I don't know if there's much more to say. I mean, like the combat, I guess I don't remember the combat. I'm sure it was pretty good.
I think they kept improving on it.
Yeah,
I remember it being slightly better than the previous games, probably, or maybe similar.
Yeah.
AC1 was the only game that I feel like had really lackluster combat.
Yeah. I think I would agree with that. I'm trying to think of other things off the top of my head with AC3. It's just all I remember is boredom. Just like, I just think what I hate to say. That should have been the title of the game. I wish that was the trailers. Assassin's Creed 3. All I remember is boredom. Now I'm only thinking of that like marketing pitch.
So my thing with Assassin's Creed 3 is other than the frontier and the boredom and Connor not being great, the Assassin's Creed 3 was also the resolution of Desmond's arc of the modern day story.
Yeah.
And it sucked.
It was bad. My comment still stands. All I remember is boredom.
I don't really remember exactly what happened, but there was something with a god, and then like,
god just killed him.
A catastrophe, and then like Desmond just dies because the god decides, and then there's like a catastrophe. I don't know if it's like a meteor shower or an earthquake, or there's some sort of catastrophe that is imminent upon the earth. I don't remember why or how or what's causing it, but it's a thing. And this god is doing bad things, and Desmond just dies at the end. All right, cool.
Okay, he's gone.
And at that point, so as I said from before, the real world story was kind of annoying, but it had me hooked with the cliffhangers. I wanted to know where it was going, and man, that payoff did not pay off.
That was bad. Oh, that was bad.
And after that, I stopped caring about the modern day story, and I feel like they did too, because they feel like they've mostly phased that out of the game. I mean, it's there here and there, but again, in Black Flag, which is AC4, you're just like an office worker, and you walk around the office occasionally, but then you go right back in the Animus.
Yeah,
it's not very long.
You're literally creating trailers. I'm not even kidding. You're like a video editor, and
that's right.
You're making trailers for movies.
And like, we want to make a movie based on the Caribbean, or
well, like Pirates in the Caribbean. I'm just like, God. I think I audibly said to myself, "Oh God, I just don't care." Can you please move on?
The one thing I will give Assassin's Creed 3, other than the beginning of the game playing as Connor and his dad, even though I think the pacing was off and lasted too long, it was generally an interesting idea and a cool idea. Assassin's Creed 3 is the game that introduced naval combat.
It did. Yeah, it did.
Which has existed in every Assassin's Creed game since, pretty much.
Yeah. It's like it like, in my opinion, is one of the best things about the game now, at least. Naval combat is so good. In particular, we'll talk about Black Flag, hopefully, to some degree. Naval combat, in my opinion, especially in Black Flag, like, revitalized my joy of the franchise. Because AC3 really killed it for me. And then Black Flag came out, and it was kind of like, I thought it was a meme with the pirates. I was like, okay, really, pirates? Come on.
I'm like, wait, our assassin is a pirate now? What is this nonsense? Like, last game we had a Native American with a hatchet in the Revolutionary War, and now we're moving on to pirates? What is this nonsense?
And not only that, it was like they went back before AC3. So
yeah,
Edward Kenway, I think it's Edward. Edward Kenway is the father of Hamath. So
yeah,
you actually
Connor's grandfather.
Yeah, Connor's grandfather. So so it's like weird. It's like, wait, now we're going back? I thought we were just constantly going forward, but now we're going back. But Black Flag to me is like probably one of the best AC games. It's like one of the best ones. The naval combat is so good in that game.
I haven't played any of the more recent ones, so Black Flag is up there for me with Brotherhood and Assassin's Creed 2 as my favorite.
It's so like I was completely shocked when I first played this game, and I remember thinking, okay, whatever. I think I got it for free or something because Xbox did like some
Xbox Gold.
Xbox Gold. So I remember getting it for like free or something. I was completely shocked. All I could think of was, what is this? This is really good. The naval combat is so good. It's so fun. And the combat was fine. It was pretty solid. The story wasn't like Edward Kenway's story wasn't horrible. It was like it was a progression, which, you know, that's not like, at least it's not nothing. But the idea was Edward Kenway was actually he was I think he began as a privateer and then became a pirate afterwards because he's got like he has a wife who's back in England or something. And
yeah, he was British. He was British.
He was British, yeah. Catherine or something was the wife or girlfriend. I think it was girlfriend, actually. Because he couldn't get the father's blessing because he was so poor, but he was desperate for money. So he's constantly desperate for money. He ends up getting on an island with somebody else and killing another person on this island who ends up being a Templar posing as an assassin. And kills this guy, gets a boat for himself, and ends up posing as this person and infiltrating a group of Templar in the Caribbean. I don't remember the other people's names, but
I'm surprised you remember this much. I don't remember anything about
I played this game multiple times because I loved it so much. Okay. And he like poses as a Templar and then gets caught. He gets caught and thus but like at the beginning of the game, he's a jerk. Really, he is almost the worst kind of person you could think of.
I remember him being very apathetic. He was just like, I don't care about anything.
Yeah, he just wants money.
Sucks.
He just wants money to go back to his girlfriend, and he cares about nobody. And he like I don't want to say befriends right away, but he meets this person, who's posing as a guy, ends up being a girl, and he like befriends this person, kind of helps them with their missions, and that person he befriends ends up dying, and it kind of like changes his thought process of everything. So he ends up joining the assassins after all this stuff happens where his friend is killed. His friend is like, it's not only that, it's so much deeper than that. He discovers his friend's a woman who's also like pregnant or something like that, and she's murdered. It's really bad. So he then like changes changes his ways, becomes an assassin because of all this happening. It is like, I think I talked to you about this when I was first playing. I was like, this is actually a good character story. It's a really good character story to have this, like, as you said, apathetic person have this type of traumatic event and completely change their ways because of these certain actions that were put into place. It was really good. I loved it a lot. So that's like the character Edward Kenway. But the game itself, I love the naval combat, and it was really fun. The environments were cool too.
They leaned into the naval combat. I think that was one of the biggest positives they got out of Assassin's Creed 3. They're like, man, people actually really like this naval combat. Let's turn that into a game, basically. Yeah. And obviously the game being set in the Caribbean, there's a lot of sailing and a lot of naval combat. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was really good. And there were like super boss ships you could fight at the end, which were pretty cool.
They were cool.
Those.
Okay, so Tricurge is asking, is there still a present world story in AC4, or did they abandon it? Like I said, the present world story, and I don't remember the full details, was you're a video editor piecing together a pirate movie, and I don't remember what the context of the pirate movie is for the management of this company, Abstergo. But that's what I remember.
It's very minimal in that game.
Really
you don't
minimal.
spend very much time in the real world in that game.
Yeah.
As opposed to the previous couple where you spent way too much time in the real world and it really killed the pacing of the game.
Yeah, it was rough. I will say that much. So, but at the same time, again, Edward Kenway, I like really love this game. There was a lot of great things I enjoyed in this game. So, like, it's one, I think it is on like probably PC as well. Like, it'll hold up. Really, it'll hold up to today too. It holds up well. Okay. Anything else on Black Flag, Spoon? Maybe you don't remember.
I don't remember it well enough. I remember really liking it. It was one of the first games I played on Xbox One, actually.
Yeah.
I do remember that because I'm pretty sure it was released on both the previous gen and the now current gen consoles.
Yeah, I think so.
It was one of the first games I owned and played on my Xbox One, which I did buy like right when it came out, which was probably a mistake.
Yeah.
But anyways,
it's a good game though. I would say if you haven't played it, I'm sure it's on PC. Give it a try. It's probably really cheap right now, if not.
Yeah, or just wait for the Steam sale and it'll be even cheaper.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh yeah, but you gotta you play. Oh
God.
Okay. We have to touch on Unity. Somehow, some way, they struck gold with Black Flag. And then they said, but wait, how can we screw it up? And Unity came out. And I don't think you played it, Spoon, but I think you tried a little bit of it, you said.
I played the first hour or two, I think.
Good job. Because I suffered through that game. And
the first hour or two wasn't that bad from my recollection. It just didn't hook me.
Oh no, it isn't bad. It's a buggy mess. I will say it's really buggy. The environments render poorly on any device that you play on. It's just horrible. The story was, I don't even remember. It was boring.
It took place in France. It was during the French Revolution. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yep, French Revolution. Yep, you're right. Again, bored. I don't know what else to say. It's not a good game. Don't play it.
Do you even remember the name of the main character?
No.
Okay. I don't either.
And to me, like, I know a good portion of the characters. I kind of remember the Syndicate ones. I remember their last name was Fry or something like that. Something Fry. I don't remember their full names. I wish I remembered. But oh man. Yeah, something Fry was the last name. Because it was Jacob and Evie Fry. That's it. So that's Syndicate. But I don't remember Unity. Because Unity was bad.
I played the first couple hours, didn't really get into it. I heard it was bad before I had played it. So during this time, we should mention, since Assassin's Creed 2 up through Syndicate, they were releasing an Assassin's Creed game every single year. Brotherhood, Revelations, Assassin's Creed 3, Black Flag, Unity, and then Syndicate. Yeah. Six years in a row, they released an Assassin's Creed game. Yeah. And Unity was a buggy mess. And I think the reason, honestly, that Black Flag and Unity were such a stark difference is I'm sure they had different teams. Like, it was completely different teams that made those two games. So one team made Black Flag and made an amazing game, and another team made Unity and made a pile of trash.
It is a pile of trash. That's a nice way of putting it, actually. That's nicer than I would have put it. It's frustrating. I just looked it up. I think the main character's name is Arno Victor Dorian. Yeah, I never would have guessed that, to be honest. That's like one of those moments where, and everybody's done this, where you like play a game or something happens and you black it out in your mind. That's what happens.
Yeah, you just like compartmentalized it. It's like, I don't want to think about this.
Put it in the chest, lock the key, throw it, lock it, throw it away.
Throw it in the ocean. It's gone.
Burn it. Everything. Yeah. Light the ocean on fire. I don't know. Anything you can think of to get it out of your mind is what I did. And then after that, after Unity, I'm kind of going to speed up because Spoon hasn't played some of these other ones, to my knowledge. And I'm dropping some frames here. I apologize.
I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's okay. It should be okay now.
It could be Twitch. Twitch was having some issues earlier in the day, so maybe they're.
Or it could be invoking the name Unity. That could be it.
It could be invoking Unity. It could be Spectrum. It could be something else. Who knows?
Could be anything. So Syndicate was the next game after Unity. I'm gonna speed through it because, like I said, I don't think Spoon has really played much of it. Although I've tried to.
I played a little bit more of it than Unity. I played the first maybe 5 hours or so of it. Again, it was fine.
That's fine.
It takes place in England, right, during the Industrial Revolution.
Yep.
I want to say.
Industrial Revolution. Yep. Yeah, it's not a bad game.
Go ahead. You played the whole game, so I don't know. I don't remember it that well. So there was trains. There was.
So this was the first AC game I remember you actually picked your character. So you had Jacob and Evie Fry. I picked Evie Fry, and so you play as her, and you do. I don't want to say the dialogue is really unique between them. I don't think it is at all. No, you play as both of them. I think you play as both of them. Like you have to play as both of them.
You switch.
Yeah, you swap. You swap between them because I think you have to. So you play as both of them, and they have various different quest lines of their own.
I remember them having distinct skill trees and specialties.
Very distinct, yeah. Yeah, I liked Evie's skill tree way better. All I remember.
I think she was more into stealth. I think.
Yeah, and I liked
the other guy. Than the guy.
I liked hers a lot. I remember I was like, okay, Evie's got a nice skill for stealth and things like that. It was really great. I don't remember the story completely of the game. There are some unique things I liked about the game. You're in the Animus obviously for this, but there's an Animus within an Animus almost. You can go into another weird time travel thing, and you play as a character briefly from World War I or something like that. You play as a child of Evie Fry or something like that, and it's really weird. It's kind of interesting. It's weird. You play as a character from World War I inside of this world, and there's some connection to it. It's very strange. It's kind of cool. That was something I remember happening. The game played pretty well, though. The combat was fine. It didn't really have naval combat. I remember that. It was the environments were cool. I mean, it's England Industrial Revolution. It was pretty cool. It was nice to the environment looked very not the environment, the other characters, the NPC characters look. I really liked them for whatever reason. They looked perfect for that environment. And yeah, it's a solid game. If I remember, it was free on Epic Game Store at one point. If it ever gets to be free again, it's a good free game to pick up, because I would say it's an 8 out of 10. It's solid. It's not perfect for sure. It's got problems. It's just not an interesting story, but it's good to play. I don't remember how long it is. I don't think it's super long, but yeah, it's a good one. Enjoyable.
Most of the earlier Assassin's Creed games aren't that long if you just want to play the main story. There's a lot of side content that you can do that will greatly enhance the length of the game, but if you're just into completing the story, for the most part they're not that long.
Yeah.
Until you get to the two most recent ones, I think, which are both pretty long.
Oh yeah, they're really long. And we won't go into detail on them because I haven't really finished Odyssey yet. But it's and I know, Spoon, you haven't. I don't think you've played it. If not, a little bit. I don't know if you have it. Odyssey, at least.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't have Odyssey.
So we'll just touch on that briefly. But yeah, after Syndicate, Ubisoft made some comments. We don't have the articles or the sources, but what happened was Ubisoft made some comments and said we're gonna take an extra year off from AC. We're gonna take some time off from AC. We want to make. It was
getting stale. They had released six games in a row, 6 years in a row, and people. I would assume, at least from Ubisoft's perspective, that sales were dropping off because the games were just getting a little bit stale. It was kind of the same thing over and over again in a different setting. Some people fell off after maybe AC3 because, as we talked about, that game wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Maybe they lost some people. I think mostly people liked Black Flag, but maybe some people didn't.
I think
I'm sure they lost a lot of people at
Yeah,
Unity
I
because that
think
game
Unity
was
really
actual
rough.
garbage.
Yeah, Unity was rough.
There was also another Assassin's Creed game, by the way. I don't remember exactly when it released. It was called Assassin's Creed Rogue.
Yeah,
I never played it, but I heard of it.
neither did I.
I don't remember when. It was kind of it released like around the same time as one of the other ones.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about it very much. It was just kind of there, and I actually heard that one was pretty good. But other than that, I don't really know anything about it.
I feel like I've heard of this one and I know it exists. There's a couple other ones that have come out that are like, I don't want to say they're not the mainline series in my opinion, like side stories. I don't know like how they all interact with the mainline story. Rogue was not a mainline story game. It was like a side story game. There's a couple other ones. And like it did get a release on consoles, and I'm sure it was like it's a major release. So, I mean, if it's a good game, you know, it's probably a good game. I think there was like the thing was you played as like a temple.
Maybe, yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, I think people dropped off on Unity. But Ubisoft took some time off, and it was good that they did, because Origins came out. I played some of that. I don't think I finished it. I got too frustrated at the crafting because it was annoying that you had to like go and get crafting materials from very specific sources. It was a little too much for me. Tricourage is posting the thing for Rogue. Follows the story of assassin turned rogue Shay Cormac. Okay. During the 7 Years' War, closing chapter in the Kenway saga. Okay. So it didn't feel like a mainline story game, but I guess it was there. So
it has definitely had relation.
Yeah, it definitely has relation.
It's different.
Yeah.
I think it released around the same time as it either released around the same time as Unity or as Black Flag. I don't remember.
I think so. It's like around. And I think, yeah, it's just like I said, good game. It's a good game.
They didn't really I feel like they didn't advertise it.
Nope.
Much at all. It just kind of came out and they didn't talk about it.
Nope. Yeah, they didn't really talk about it much at all. From what I mean, it's just like didn't hear much of it. But okay, yeah, they must have not advertised. So okay, so Origins, yeah, so Origins. I can talk mostly about Odyssey, frankly. I haven't finished it, but I like it a lot. So Odyssey's a game. It's one of those games like after the Ubisoft break. There's some added features from different the other AC games. It's got RPG-like mechanics where your character levels. They still have skill trees and such. And you still upgrade those skills, like abilities, through leveling. Your character has a level. Your armor and weapons have levels, and enemies have levels.
They use like a Diablo-style loot system with loot rarity and like item level, basically from Borderlands or Diablo or whatever your favorite looter shooter is. Destiny, I guess. Yeah. Yeah,
it's overall it executes just fine. I will say again, I have a strange opinion on this. I don't know what it is, but it's like a little annoying in this kind of game to like run around getting crafting materials to upgrade your weapons. But I will say that the biggest challenge I've had so far is upgrading your previous weapons. So you can upgrade your weapons at a blacksmith, but if I want to upgrade a legendary item, like of course it's going to be a lot of crafting materials and a lot of currency. I think it's drachma. But it's a lot of currency. So upgrading certain armor pieces and such, if you want to keep those going, it's an investment. It's a huge investment, and it can be quite frustrating because it's expensive. So you're having to like go out, get more leather. I always have problems with leather, one of the crafting materials. Go get some leather, accumulate some money. You got to go like run around and do your thing. It just like the biggest problem I'm having so far is the mainline story. I like the characters. So one of the characters I'm playing as is Cassandra. I like the story. It's kind of interesting so far, and
takes
I like
place
the character.
In ancient Greece, by the way.
Yep, because it's at the time. I don't remember the specific what it's called, but like the Spartans and the Greeks are in conflict.
Okay.
So it's a really good game, but the biggest problems I'm having so far is I'm playing on hard, so take this with a grain of salt, but there are certain missions where they'll say it's like level 13 to do it. It doesn't feel like it at all. It feels like you have to be a higher level. So it just feels like I got jebaited. And there's like a thing you can do where it's like conquest. You like lower the power of a specific section, and then you can pick a side to fight. So if the leader is a Spartan leader, you can help the Greeks try and overthrow a region and make it a Greek region or a Athenian region. Yeah, I just did a conquest for that. It was like the first time I did it. It's not just that it's difficult. It's crazy. I was just like trying to do it. I felt like I killed all the opposing captains in the mercenary, and I still lost. And it like had nothing to do with like me doing what I was supposed to do. It's just like you just lose sometimes. It's kind of annoying. I'm just like, okay, well, wait a minute. The first one you do that's the tutorial, of course it's going to be easier, but
you probably win for free because it's the
basically
tutorial.
Yeah. But if I'm playing on hard again, I understand that, but I was just like completely just doing my thing, and yet because my faction, I guess, was much weaker. I don't know. I didn't understand it. Frankly speaking, I don't want to do it again. It just feels like a waste of my time. That's the problem. So like the conquest thing, again, if there's something I'm doing wrong, I'd love to know, but it feels like a waste of my time. So yeah, but like there's some good pieces of the game. It's really enjoyable. There's some naval combat, which is great. I like Cassandra. I like the interaction she has with people. You get some like dialogue choices. They actually impact things in the environment, which is great. She's not a silent protagonist. You're the other guy. I think it's Alexios is the other guy. They're not silent protagonists. There's a lot of good things about the game. It's enjoyable. I would say if it lowers in price or something like that, and it's like if you can get it on a discount, it's a great discount buy if you're interested in the series. That's like my perception of it. It's cool though. There's like a lot of cool stuff you can do, but there's some other things that like the conquest. What am I doing? I just wasted hours on this. I'm not doing that. So, it's a good one. If you like, definitely a good one if you like the series. It's also just a good game on its own because they don't really touch on the present day stuff, which is great. Because the present day stuff right now is just boring. So that's like my take on it. Unfortunately, I can't really talk too much more about it because Spoon hasn't really touched it much, so you'll just have to take my word for it if you're in.
Yeah, the one thing I'll mention that, and I don't know how pervasive or annoying it is because I haven't played either Origins or Odyssey, but I've definitely heard that those games can be a bit of a grind, and there are copious microtransactions in those games, one being an EXP booster, or I don't know if it doubles it, or you pay, I don't know what it is, $10 to double your EXP gain or something to... And this is something that is permeating a lot of AAA single-player games right now, where the publisher will, I assume, mandate that the game has to have microtransactions, and that the developer must... They basically make the game grindy and waste your time on purpose so that you pay money to either, like, for example, with the crafting materials you're talking about, yeah, you could pay money and get more crafting materials, or you could grind it out, or... So yeah, they want you to pay for microtransactions to subdue the grind. They call them time savers, but really what they're doing is they're putting artificial roadblocks in the game and time wasters so that they can sell you time savers. And I think it's incredibly scummy. Like, the game may be good despite it, but I think these practices are incredibly scummy, and I don't like them.
Odyssey did get in trouble for that. They did have that. That was the thing. You could double your EXP gains by paying $10, which is egregious. And you're just like, okay, so you purposely made this grindier just to sell a $10 speed up. Come on.
Exactly. They knowingly and, as you said, purposefully make the game grindy. They make the EXP gain slow, and they make gathering money or resources or whatever slow, so that if you don't have hours a day to grind out these things, you want to you basically have to buy these time savers, and I don't like this big business practice at all.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Ubisoft does this all the time too, by the way.
It's in all their games now, basically.
I hate
all of Ubisoft's games have this item level system and like crafting systems and all like EXP systems and grindy aspect to them, and they put in these microtransactions where you can buy basically anything. Ghost Recon Wildlands, which I heard was not a good game, and then they had all this egregious microtransactions.
Breakpoint had it even worse.
Oh, not Wildlands, Breakpoint.
Yeah,
I meant Breakpoint.
Because I heard Wildlands
was okay. Yeah, the newest one is Breakpoint. Yeah.
And I've heard this argument before. I don't know who said it. I think I was watching like I have to be honest. I'm okay with them thinking that way, but they're like, oh well, you don't have to buy them. You can just get them normally in the game. Okay, but this developer has the audacity to think it's okay to do this, and the reason why they have the audacity to do it and it's okay is because A, people will buy it, but B, like, you don't like call them out for it enough, and you don't basically vote with your wallet in this case and say, okay, this is not okay. Don't make a game purposely grindy like this because you can sell them a $10 time save. Like, don't do that. It just...
I think my big problem with it is that the game is designed to be needlessly grindy so that you buy it. Yeah. It's not that the game is normal, and if you want to go faster, you can buy this. It's like, no, this game is very grindy, and if you don't buy this, it will be a slog.
Yep.
And maybe not fun at times because you have to collect so many materials, or it takes so many enemies or quests or whatever to level up. And I've heard that trying to bum rush the main story in Odyssey and like if you want to ignore side quests without buying the time savers is basically impossible because you're going to be under leveled.
Yep.
And item level and character level mean a lot. It's kind of designed like an MMO in that way. In an MMO, if you're too many levels under an enemy, you just won't do any damage to them, or you won't hit them with any of your attacks, and they'll kill you in a couple of shots. So it makes it basically impossible to win.
Yep, you can't bum rush this story. I've had to do so much side content just to keep up to level. You can't do it. So that's a thing. The game is pretty long, so you make a commitment for it. I'm gonna guess it's over 40 hours. I think it's going to be an over 40-hour game in total just because of this stuff. So if you're not interested in like committing to the game, then that's a reason not to play it. But it is a good game. If it really is a good game. We're talking about its problems and Ubisoft's poor decision making at times, but the game definitely is worth it.
They're a large publisher. Ubisoft is probably the I'm thinking Nintendo's there. They're one of the largest video game publishers. There's Activision, there's EA, there's Ubisoft, and then there's the first party publishers like Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. Like, those are kind of the big six, I guess, that I can think of at least. But Activision, EA, and Ubisoft being the three biggest third party publishers.
Yep.
And yeah, so they're a corporation, they're there to make money, so of course they're going to put in mechanics that make them more money. I just wish that they weren't... I wish that microtransactions didn't affect gameplay. We talked about this a little bit in the MOBA episode, but I have no problem with microtransaction if they don't affect gameplay. If you want to sell cosmetics, skins, like title cards, I don't know, not dialogue options, but like, I don't know, anything cosmetic basically is like costumes, skins, colors, whatnot. If it's cosmetic, I don't care. You can charge as much as you want. I won't buy it because I don't care about that stuff, and it's usually very overpriced.
Yep.
But stuff that affects gameplay, like EXP boosters and like being able to buy like weapons or ammunition or crafting materials or like skill points or like that, I'm just not okay with.
Yeah, I'm not on board with that either. It's annoying. Like I'm gonna mention Dead Space again. Dead Space 3 had something like that where you could buy like materials and like a bot that collected more materials. God, so stupid. And so yeah, yeah. So, okay, I'm looking through my list here. And I do want to talk about at the very, because I think we're going to round this out here pretty soon. Let's see here. We kind of talked about some of our favorites in the series, but do you want to just like highlight your favorites that you've played or like tried even a little bit? Some of the ones that you enjoyed the most, and in more detail, and maybe like recommend those or don't recommend those. I don't know. I just like want to round out with like a top 5 or something like it. Not like top 5, but like
Yeah,
1 or 2.
I don't think I'd played enough to do like a top list, but I would say for me, my 3 favorites in no particular order, I would say are Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and Black Flag.
Yeah.
2, as we talk. Oh yeah, we will talk about.
Oh,
the movie
I forgot about
real
that
quick.
Tri-Courage. We'll finish that after.
Yeah,
we'll do that after this.
We'll talk about the movie. Assassin's Creed 2, as we talked about earlier, if you were here, if not, is just it's a quintessential amazing sequel. Assassin's Creed 1 had a lot of ideas, but fumbled in its execution a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And Assassin's Creed 2 just did everything bigger, better. They polished it. The character was more interesting. The environment's more interesting. The story is more interesting. There was more side content that was more interesting. They made the combat better. You fist fight the Pope.
You fist fight the Pope. That's great. Love that.
And yeah, I mean, I think just about everything about Assassin's Creed 2 was better than Assassin's Creed 1.
Yeah.
Brotherhood was the game that immediately followed Assassin's Creed 2 and is the continuation of Ezio's story. And it's basically more Assassin's Creed 2 with a few new locations. I think you go to Rome. Assassin's Creed 2 is set in Italy. And in the original Assassin's Creed 2, I think it's like Venice and Florence, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so.
Are two of the main cities. And you may go to Rome for like a small bit, but I remember in Brotherhood, the main city is Rome. And it's really cool. They added mechanics where you kind of control. It's called Brotherhood, so you control a Brotherhood. You have like agents that you can send out to do missions, and you kind of control this network of assassins. And I remember it being a really, really cool mechanic in that game. And I remember just really liking that game in general. The third Ezio game, Revelations, I don't like so much. I think it was just a little played out at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as we talked about Black Flag was just an entirely different direction. They expanded on the naval combat, which was awesome. As Otto said, I don't remember it that well, but the story sounds like it was good with Kenway. Kenway was a very interesting character. The game was just fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about all I got.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with most of those. Like I said, I haven't finished Odyssey yet. I don't want to like say it, but Odyssey feels really good. So, but for me, it's got to be. I think I like Black Flag the most. I do like AC2, but I like Black Flag the most. AC2 is great. I really enjoyed that one. Like Brotherhood's quite good too. I don't want to discount that. I think Odyssey is also it's almost pushing the. If you like AC games or if you're interested, Odyssey might be like, okay, you should play this game, because for me, Black Flag is like a must play, and AC2 is a must play. Yeah, and then I'm gonna say Odyssey might be a must play. It's a really nice game. Fun so far. Don't play Unity, please. I promise you, if you play Unity, you'll probably get a tune. So that's I think my opinion on that. So yeah, I mean, like, if just to sort of comment on what Abandon's saying here, if you tried AC2 and didn't get into it back then, especially if you can get it for like almost free now, it might be worth giving it a shot. I don't know. But Black Flag, I think, is something you should play now. Black Flag holds up really well still, in my opinion. It's crazy. I played it recently, like a year or two ago. It still holds up well. And that's like kind of interesting to me that it holds up so well still. So, but don't play Unity. Okay, let's talk about the movie, Spoon. You see the movie?
I did watch it. I feel like it's one of those things where I compartmentalize it and I don't remember it very well because it was.
I've seen it too, and Michael Fassbender is a good choice, actually. I like him as the assassin choice. Here's something interesting. This is what amazes me about this, and it's, I don't know what to pin it towards. We've been talking about how we hated the real world side of it so much, frankly speaking. There was some potential here, and some of the cliffhangers were interesting at first, and now they're just non-existent. The movie took that and said, oh yeah, the past stuff, you mean all the cool stuff that you engage in the game? Yeah, whatever, screw that. Maybe we'll put 10 minutes in the movie. The other hour and 20 minutes is the real world stuff, and I gotta say, boring. It's so boring. Like, it's just like me playing Assassin's Creed 3 again. It's like all I felt was boredom. But whenever they went to the past, I was kind of engaged and into it. They did the parkour stuff really well. It was cool seeing them do the combat in the parkour. And they did it for like 10 minutes of the movie. And all I could think of was like, okay, director, whoever thought this is a good idea, yeah, you definitely should have rethought this one.
My problem with movie adaptations of generally video games and the few anime ones that they have done is that, for me at least, Hollywood seems to just take way too many liberties with the story.
Yeah, they do.
I realize a video game or an anime, a full anime series, is much longer than a movie, and you have to condense it. I understand that. But I just feel like they just take free reign and they just change stuff with no remorse whatsoever. I wish they would. It just feels like the people that work on these movies aren't like fans of the series.
Well, they're definitely not. It just,
that
like,
they're
doesn't feel
doing.
like it.
They need to get people on here on these movies that are actual fans of the series, so they can have the personality, and all they need to do is tell the story of the game or the anime series or whatever it is in a condensed fashion in a movie. Or maybe they just split it up into multiple movies, but then I guess they don't want to bank on the first one being a success, so they can have, because then maybe they won't make the next movie. But apparently with Dragon Ball Evolution, they had plans for future movies, but the first one flopped so badly that they...
I can't believe they had plans for that. So, just to comment on what Trikerish is he's asking about the plot here. Is the plot a copy of the games? It's definitely not. The plot is entirely different. It is like based on the idea of, okay, the Templars are going after the Apples of Eden because they want to remove free will. And
the assassins exist. There's an animus, but it's way different than it is in the game. It's like this weird like contraption that like attaches to your arms and legs, and it's like a VR machine or something. It's weird. Whereas in the game, it's literally just like a table that the person lays on, and they just think about, like, it's just in their mind.
Which makes sense. To me, that's like, okay, sure. It's all in the mind. In this, they're like, nah, you're just gonna attach like cranes onto them. It's like, they're just flying around. Why? It just feels like you spent more budget than you needed to for this. It's just like, now we gotta have cranes and stuff. It's like, that's so much more expensive than just putting a table there. And it would have been just as fine. It's like, we don't need to see him moving around and doing it.
And there are parts, I remember, and it's actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's a little jarring in the movie, that they do these shots where they show the past scene, and he's like doing a flip in the past or something, or fighting something, and then they'll flash to the present of him like doing a flip in the VR machine. It's like, wait, we don't need, stop. I don't care.
I just wish I was on that movie set and be like, okay, cut. Yeah, I don't care about this. Bring a table out there and just have him lie down on it. Please. It doesn't matter. We'll save, like, they probably spent like a good amount of money on that too. And you're just like, you didn't need this at all. You just had a table.
Just movie adaptations in general, I just... like, for books, honestly, for the most part, it seems okay most of the time. Like, obviously, they have to condense things. It depends. But, like, the Harry Potter movies are pretty good.
Yeah, they are.
They're not 100% faithful, and they obviously don't go over everything, because, like, those aren't super long books, but you can't... it's a book. It takes hours upon hours and upon hours to read. And a movie is an hour and a half to 2 hours usually, so kind of have to condense things.
I think.
But with so many of these video game adaptations that they've done, they're just not faithful at all to the source material. They take the general outline of it and then they just make up their own stuff. I'm like, can you just copy the plot of the video game and make it a movie? Why? Like, why do you have to think that your creative vision is better than the original that everybody likes? Because everybody already likes the original. Just do that. I don't understand.
Because we need a crane attaching to somebody and flipping around, and we also need Piccolo from Dragon Ball Evolution on a flying ship.
Yeah, we need a Final Fantasy airship. Yeah, and we gotta have Bulma with one blue streak in her hair instead of having blue hair. And they gotta change the name of the Dragon Radar to DBE or something stupid like that. No, it's the Dragon Radar, you idiot!
Oh my gosh. I hope we can talk about Dragon Ball Evolution sometime too. That was a good movie to watch. Okay, but circling back to the Assassin's Creed movie, like, in its plot. The plot is like it's the same idea though. The Templars exist. They've captured a bunch of assassins. They've captured Michael Fassbender. I don't remember what he was doing before this too. It was like I think like I don't even think he was like the Desmond thing where it's like a random bartender. His family was a bunch of assassins or something, and his dad killed his mom. You're like, okay, cool, sure, why not? And he like hates assassins at first, and the Templars are trying to find the Apple of Eden. But they have to go through his ancestors' visions, much like the AC plot, to get it. It's not a carbon copy, though, of the Desmond story. It really isn't. He's, like, with other assassins, and they all harbor this, like, grudge against him because they think he's going to out them and, like, show the Apple of Eden to the Templar because he's working with them so closely. And then eventually, I'm giving you more of the plot, and I'm spoiling it. Because you don't care. I can guarantee you don't care to see this movie. And if you do, bless your heart. Bless your heart. He, like, has strange visions in the present day of his ancestor, like, communicating with him or something. And then he starts to take all the things his ancestors done and, like, somehow, like, integrate it into himself. Like, he learns really quickly. So he learns to fight really quickly. He learns all the skills his ancestor had really quickly, which isn't a silly concept, but I'm just trying to comment on that. Stuff.
Like, we actually didn't mention this, but that happens in the games too.
Yeah, it does.
It happens It happens very slowly though. In the games, in the first game, at the very end of the game, Desmond has eagle vision.
He has eagle vision,
which is Altair's power in the game that allows him to just identify
things.
Like, it just identify things very easily within the world, and eventually Desmond gets eagle vision, which is like cool, but
it took a long time.
it takes the whole game to get eagle vision.
Michael Fassbender's character, and by the way, I keep saying his actual actor's name because I don't remember the name in the movie. So it's just like they go through the plot and they flash back to the past a couple times, and I've said it before. The past scenes are pretty darn good. And the confusing thing is, and when I watched this movie and left the theater, all I could think was like, why wasn't there more of that? That could have been like half the movie, and I would have been satisfied with it. I actually would have been satisfied with it. If half the movie was the stupid present day stuff, and half it was the parkour past stuff, I would have been totally fine with it. But it wasn't that way. And then at the very end, I'm just going to spoil this too. He escapes from the Templars thing, gets a couple of his assassin buddies. They get on top of a theater, try to act super cool because there might be a sequel. There won't be, by the way. And that's it. And it's not cool. You're just like, look here, like, this isn't cool. This wasn't cool.
I feel like they flipped. They also, I didn't remember that so much of the movie was in the present as opposed to the past. Again, I don't remember it very well. I did watch it, but they flipped the script in the games, at least. Even the games like Assassin's Creed 3 and Brotherhood Revelations, the ones that have a big chunk of present day stuff, it's at most like 20 to 25% of the game is the present day stuff, and it's still like at least 75-80% is the past. And that's good. And again, in the game, that was too much. That was too much present day stuff. Yep. And then the more recent games, like in Black Flag, or I'm sure in Odyssey, and Origins, it's like it's 90 to 95% past and like 5 to 10% present.
Yeah.
That's good. We don't care about the present day story. No one likes it. It's dumb. Like, we all cared, we all tried to care, and then the payoff in AC3 was so bad that we stopped caring.
It was so bad.
We don't like it. We don't like your stories. Please
and we
stop.
did try to care. Like, really, we did. Like, oh yeah, there's gonna be stuff here, and you're doing like puzzles to try and unlock more. And then AC3 happened, and you're just like, wow.
Nope.
Thanks.
I'm jumping off the train, guys. I'm off this one.
It's just such a debate. It was, for me, it was kind of like the movie. I hate to say it, but like the movie for me, I didn't anticipate it to be as bad as it was. I was thinking, okay, maybe it'll be like okay, and I won't be disappointed. And I was disappointed. It was so bad that I was just disappointed. I feel like I almost was like, this concept didn't feel like it was hard to accomplish, and I think I don't know how, but it was hard to accomplish. They
again, I don't think an adaptation of another medium from one medium to another should be that hard. Just take what is there and convert it to your medium. You don't need to completely change the plot and change the characters and change what the Animus looks like and change literally everything except for the fact that the Animus exists and there's something about Templars and Assassins and the Apple of Eden.
Yeah.
Those are the only things that were the same.
That's all you need. It's so frustrating. And Hollywood does this all the time. But yeah, we're not a movie reviewer podcast or anything like that, but I mean, Assassin's Creed movie does exist. It's part of the, it has this connection to the games. My review of the movie is don't see it. Just don't see it. There's not even 0 to 10. Just don't see it. Actually,
review? No.
No. It's actually the same review as I had for AC3. I'm just bored.
Just don't. Just don't.
Bored.
Don't do it.
Just be bored. You're like, okay, this is boring. If it's free, go ahead and watch it. Maybe it's free for you, or like you have cable.
I mean, if it's free and you don't have anything better to do and feel like wasting an hour and a half of your life, go ahead and watch it.
Yeah, sure. And if somebody asks you, do you want to see it? Just say no. Just say no, thank you. No, thank you.
Try Courage in the chat, giving us its Rotten Tomato score is 18%.
Costs $4 on YouTube. That's $4 too much.
That's way too much.
If your significant other, like if Kate came to me and asked, "Do you want to see Assassin's Creed the movie?" I'd say, "No, thank you. Let's do anything else but that." So anyway, yeah, that's the movie. Oh, please don't watch it. And yeah, I mean, anything else? Is there anything else I'm missing from the AC ethos?
I can't think of anything. Let's go to the chat real quick and see. Do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything for us? Anything else that we maybe missed that you want us to talk about? Anything else you want us to expand on further that we maybe did talk about?
Anything.
Speak now.
Almost anything.
Or we'll just wrap this up.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. We'll go into our conclusion. And just. Well, while we're waiting on chat, I can go through some of the conclusion. So, like I said at the beginning, please consider subscribing to the YouTube, and that would be really helpful for us. And we just got one from Abandon saying, "What setting would you want to see in the AC universe?" I've heard rumors that the next one's going to be like something like AC Ragnarok, like Vikings or something.
I heard Vikings for the next.
Yeah, I'd like that. That would be cool. Longboats and stuff. That would be cool. I would like that one.
There's one that has been rumored basically since AC3. There's a setting that has been rumored literally every time they're going to talk about a new Assassin's Creed game, and it's Japan, like samurai / ninjas, and they still haven't done it yet. I don't know why they haven't done it yet.
Easy. It feels like it's easy, but
everyone wants Japan, I can tell you that much. Like samurai and ninjas, yeah, I want that.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of another. Oh yeah. Well, this is a joke one, just like I want one in the future with super robot monkeys or something silly. Something like really stupid. I just want like anything that won't
Assassin's Creed Space.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Space. There you go. I can't wait for that one. Where you're like on the moon. You're just like trying to do an assassination, but you're floating on the moon or something. I don't know. Yeah. Just like anything. I think the Vikings one's cool, all the jokes aside. World War One was an interesting concept, or World War Two. Oh. Is there a feature they didn't have that you'd like to see return from Blue? A feature they didn't have that you'd like to see. Oh yeah, the nut kick. The nut kick. That needs to return. The fact that that hasn't returned bothers me, actually. Like, I would like to do that to break guards. Like, breaking guards right now, like in Odyssey, for example, you do like a charge attack. From a mechanics perspective, that makes sense. But from a fun factor, I hate it.
Yeah.
I want to just swift kick. Where's my swift kicks? Where'd they go?
Again, I haven't played the more recent games, so I don't know. Maybe this does exist, but if it doesn't, the Brotherhood.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. I wish it did.
The Brotherhood thing from Brotherhood, and I think it was in Revelations too, because you were still at CO. I thought that was cool.
That's actually a really good one.
I'd like to see that come back. I'd like to see. I feel like the more recent games, also the Hidden Blade just doesn't exist. They assassinate with other weapons.
So this one, the Odyssey, is the Spear of Leonidas, is your assassination weapon of choice.
And
it's a broken spear.
The Hidden Blade was just such an iconic thing that was, like, in the first game, actually, they had to cut off I think it was their fourth finger.
Yes.
For the Hidden Blade, because the Hidden Blade was like under their sleeve, and it would just like shoot out this little blade, and I guess the way it was designed, it would cut off your fourth finger, so they just cut off their fourth finger. And then in Assassin's Creed 2, I think it was further along in the future, so they had modified it so they didn't have to cut off their fourth finger anymore, but they still had the Hidden Blade.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've done away with the Hidden Blade, and I don't know why, because it was really cool.
Yeah, it was like one of the iconic things from the series, and now it's just gone. And like, it's the Spear of Leonidas thing, I get it's got a story element to it, but Hidden Blade back. I'm with you there. I like that one. Most of mine are just half jokey, so I apologize to anybody who's trying to get a serious answer. I'll do my best. But I just like the nut. I'm like half serious about the kick and the thing. That was like an hour's worth of time trying to do that. That was a really cool thing. So, anything else from our wonderful live viewers? Okay, I'm going to continue to conclude then. So, talked about the YouTube. We have all of our socials. You should know them by now. If you don't, look at the screen or check the details of the audio section, like Anchor and Spotify and such. There's details. Please view that. The Myriathon on Twitter, Myriathon on Twitch. We're also on Mixer, the Myriathon on Mixer. Anchor is just Myriacast, anchor.fm/Myriacast. YouTube, the space Myriathon in the search. If you don't do that, then it's a little bit difficult because it's like a random string of stuff. Striker has asked where Bender is. He's taking a week off. He'll be back soon. I had to move my entire setup around because I wanted to see some change around here. So I moved my desk around. Bender will come back. Also, I'm liking where I'm at now. The lighting is much better than getting the sun in my eyes. So this is much better. And then, yeah, like, we appreciate everybody who watches. Make sure to help us spread the word. And we're going to be doing hopefully some extra stuff in the future. Like I said, considering doing some of the Myriacast like plays or something along those lines, where Spoon and I will jump onto a stream and play something together, or one of us will play and the other will just like do some commentary related to the topic that we're going to talk about for the podcast, or maybe just something that's like new and we're both interested in. That won't happen right away. Probably take some time because Spoon's still doing school stuff. So keep an eye out for that. And then, yeah, if there's anything else, just let us know. Like, if also, I don't think we've ever said this as well. I don't know how Spoon feels about this, but if you guys have like topics that you'd like to hear from us related to gaming, maybe a series that we're not, because we can only think of so much. Let us know.
Yeah, our list of topics is starting to run down. To be honest,
It's dwindling.
Yeah, it is dwindling, and we're not adding that many ideas.
We're having trouble right now. So if you guys have something it would be helpful.
We've still got a couple in the backlog, but
yeah. And
I don't know. These are some of the topics we have in the backlog are like things that have been there for a while that we just haven't done. So you might guess that we're not as enthused about those topics. Some of the others
we're waiting on some of those. Those are like
talked about.
Kind of desperation topics.
Though to be honest, Assassin's Creed was a topic that you recommended this week, and we just picked it because it was our favorite, I guess.
Yeah, it was a good one. And what else do I want to round out this or something else? So I think that's about it. I think that's really how I want to end this. So we have one more thing. I did kind of like give my own little cliffhanger, Assassin's Creed style. We have a bit of an announcement here for next week. Spoon, why don't you reveal this one?
Sure thing. So we've been having this in the works for a bit, but next week we will be doing a Kingdom Hearts themed episode. So we'll be talking about the Kingdom Hearts series, which many of you know I very much like. One of my favorite JRPG series, especially in terms of gameplay. And we will be bringing another guest on for that, and the guest we'll be bringing on is Mistmaster1, who is a relatively popular Kingdom Hearts streamer and speedrunner. Really chill guy. I met him at a GDQ at last SGDQ 2019 last year. Really chill dude. He took a little while off from streaming to sort of fix some stuff in his personal life, but he's back looking better than ever. He's a great dude. He's very knowledgeable, very experienced at Kingdom Hearts, and we'll be talking about it next week.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. This is not that this isn't our first guest, but this is our first guest who's external, really external from the community we have right now. So we could be having some new people in here, and I'm happy about that. And I hope all of you are nice and pleasant as normal, just so we can, invite these new podcasts. This is important. It helps, and Mist will be a good guest for this. So yeah, look forward to next week. Next week's going to be a fun one with Spoon and I. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Cancel your dinner plans, your dates. Podcast Cage time with Mist.
I'm gonna do my best to stay awake and have energy for that podcast because I actually have an exam on Monday. So,
oh boy, there you go. Spoon has an exam, so pray for him as well, so he does well on that. All right, guys.
The other thing I want to mention real quick in terms of the sign off. Again, this is going to sound very sell-out-y, but please follow both myself, Otto, as well as the Myriathon on Twitter if you have Twitter and use Twitter. And when we tweet out stuff about the Myriacast, please like and retweet, help us spread the word. That's where a lot of our announcements go for the Myriathon. And when we post stuff on Twitter or in the Discord servers that many of you I know are a part of, please help us spread it around to other Discord servers.
We appreciate it.
It doesn't cost you anything to do so. We appreciate it. We'd like to spread the word about the podcast, and as Otto said earlier in the day, get that YouTube subscriber count up to 100 so we can get that custom domain name and just help spread the word, get some more people in the chat, maybe get some more questions going, some more interactions. We really like doing this, and we just like to see more people in here interacting with us, to be honest. So yeah,
Spoon said it. He hit the nail on the head there. I would agree 100%. If you could spare the time, spare the like and retweet clicking, that we'd appreciate it. It really does help. All these things, they sound silly. I know a lot of people might think it's very silly. Say, oh, come on, really? It's not a big deal. It actually is. The interaction and the impressions that you get, it all like snowballs. And really what you're hoping for is just like, you just want lightning to strike. And it's hard. You can't like necessarily force it, but you can try and prepare, do what you can to maybe increase the probability that occurs. That's what you're looking for. So do we expect lightning to strike just like all the time? No, of course not. but with your guys' help, we can change the weather, and we can bring different winds here. So that's like really important stuff, and I think anybody else would agree.
And that's, for me on Twitter, it's at SPT Spoon for Auto. I believe it's at Automaton89 on Twitter for those. And generally our tweets go out on Fridays. We announce the next topic, which we already had this one announced here, but we'll do the tweet on we do the tweet on Fridays. Usually something maybe on Sunday, and then usually a couple on Monday before like sometime earlier in the day, and then maybe like an hour before, and then right before.
Yep.
Again, I know it's a little bit like annoying and maybe spammy, but it's social media. You just gotta keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
And when you're like,
again,
no, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
We just appreciate you guys, following us so you can see those tweets, and if you see one of those tweets, just like and retweet just to pass it around. Help us spread the word as best you can. If you like this podcast and you like us and you wanna see this thing, I mean, it's probably gonna continue for a while regardless, but again, we'd like to see even more people getting in here and engaging.
Yeah, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, so I don't want to say too much. Spoon's 100% correct. Yeah. If you're ever in the position that we're in, where we're trying to like foster and build this community, or maybe you're in this right now position, you'll kind of understand where we're coming from, and that's where that like-minded thought will be really helpful. So and I've like built some communities before. They're not huge, but it's a struggle. And what really helps when you build that community is getting other people to get on board with you and to help build you up as well. It's hard to do at first, but that's how you do it. So this is the reason why we always do this stuff, the intro and the conclusion, talk about these things, because we kind of understand what it's going to do. We appreciate it, really, everybody who listens, even if you're just like lurking and just want to hear us talk about the topics. Maybe you're interested in seeing that, you were just really wanted me to show that Assassin's Creed kicking in the jewels video, or talk about the movie. Thank you for stopping by. Thanks for giving us some help with certain things and questions. And we will be signing out on that note. Look forward to next week's Kingdom Hearts podcast with Mist.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody.
Yep. Thanks, guys.